Welcome back, students. In our today's class, we are going to start the second unit of our mass media studies, that is evolution of media. We have completed our entire first unit that has got 3 chapters, and we have uploaded 3 videos on that. Now today we are going to start evolution of media, that is unit 2, and with the chapter 1, that is understanding cinema. Now let us see what we have got in understanding cinema. Film as a medium and an art as different from other arts and media. So we are going to see how film differs from other arts and media while it itself is an art and medium. We all love stories. We love to tell them and as well as listen to them. We love stories that appeal to us in various moods. So it is quite obvious and natural that we all love to listen stories or watch movies, and we love stories. We love stories that appeal to us in various moods. Some are romantic, some are mysterious, some are scary, while some are amazing. So these are various kind of stories that appeal to us. We have changed and become so different from our ancestors in many ways. But in one respect, we are no different from them. They love stories as much as we do. Over the centuries, making has evolved various forms of storytelling. So, the forms of storytelling have changed over the centuries, over the years. How our ancestors used to tell stories or present the stories was quite different from the way that we do now. Some have been verbal, that is orally transmitted, or literary stories of some have been purely pictorial. Some have been based on our ability to perform, and some have been technology based like cinema, television in the 20th century. Cinema emerged as the premier storytelling medium, incorporating many qualities of other arts. Although we see many arts reflected in cinema, it still retains its individual unique quality. So we get to see how various arts the quality of various arts are reflected in cinema, but how it is different from those arts and how it retain its individual and unique quality. This would be the first step in understanding cinema as a narrative medium. So I have given you this activity as your August 1 activity in Google Classroom, that what you have to do, you have to watch the Lagan movie from the beginning to 16 minutes, then you have to observe some things and you have to write down those. So what I am discussing it here, that what you have to observe, you have to write a summary of what actually happens. So basically you have to write the plot of the happenings that is happening within those 16 minutes. Now, who are the characters? Describe them with respect to the following details: age, gender, appearance, clothes, and emotional state, etc. So you have to mention the main characters and describe them with respect to the following details. Now, what is their environment and what does it tell you about the time period of the story? Now, do you think that these sequences were filmed on set or actual location? Which would be better and why? What are the different sounds that you hear or could listen in the movie? Now, see the same segment of the film again. So, what you have to do, you have to write down these details and you have to see that segment of the film again and see in the light of what you have written. Whether you have observed all or you have noticed a few things that you have missed in the first viewing of the film. Okay, now this will show you how your viewing of the film differs, how your perspective of viewing of that film is different from the first time viewing of the film after you write down these details and you see the film in the light of these details. So according to Christian Metz, films are difficult to explain because they are easy to understand. So anything that is difficult to explain, that is very easy to understand. As we know that easily understandable concepts are the harder concept to explain in lucid language. Now this is an activity, let us not discuss it here. Now cinema, what is cinema? Cinema is essentially a storytelling, or in other words a narrative medium. So in one word we can say cinema is a narrative medium. Cinema tells stories on screen by means of visuals and sound, that is audio visual manner. So if we are asked to write few lines about cinema or what is cinema in your own words, you can write that it is essentially a storytelling medium or narrative medium. Cinema tells us stories on the screen by means of visuals and sound, that is audio visual manners. Cinema tells stories that are bound in time and space, that is they are spatio-temporal. So cinema is narrative medium, audio visual medium, and it is spatio-temporal. So you can sum up like this: it's an audio visual, spatio-temporal and narrative medium. Visual on the screen contains actor, location, light, object and composition. Soundtrack consists speech, effects, music and silence. This is very important. Without silence we can't hear the sound. So while we are mentioning about music and soundtrack, with speech, effect, music, what is another most important thing? That is silence. These are the basic elements that go into the composition of any film. That is how cinema tells story in its own way. Medium and material. For every medium, material is very important. Okay. Every medium has its own material through which it realizes itself. Like just as literature, when we read stories, what literature does? It uses language or words. Okay. Painting uses lines, surface, color, stone, shapes, two-dimensional space. Okay. Sculpture uses solid objects like metal, stones, texture and this kind of things to realize itself. So and architecture uses building blocks, texture, color, tones, three-dimensional space. So we can see that every medium, to realize itself, to make it a reality, to make it a reality in life, reality of our life, it needs a medium and it needs a material, and these materials are the main things of that medium. Architecture uses building blocks, textures, color, tones, three-dimensional shapes, space, etc. What music does? Music uses sound and silence. Silence is very important in music. Sound is important as well as silence. Theatre uses sound and space. But cinema, in the case of cinema, cinema uses all of this. Cinema in itself amalgamate all the qualities of all these arts and medium. That is why we see the elements of other arts being used in cinema. Okay, so what cinema does? Cinema uses the storytelling techniques of literature. Cinema uses the same basic elements of line, shapes and color in composing visuals like painting. Cinema uses space and composes figures in depth and offers multiple points of view. Cinema uses architecture, natural structures as setting. The sets of cinemas may be natural or they may be artificial. That sets. Cinema uses music as a part of the story and dramatic structure. Cinema uses actors and depend upon their performances. So what we can see, that cinema uses all the arts but it retains its unique quality in itself. This is how cinema is intimately related to literature, visual arts and performing arts, but still it has its own identity and different from them. Understanding this relationship of cinema to other arts is taking the first step towards understanding the basic quality and property of cinema. When we start seeing the links between cinema and other arts, an exciting world opens up before us. Now, literature, how cinema and literature is connected, as well as how they are different from each other. Images in mind and images on the screen. Literature, when we read a good piece of literature, we create images in our mind. While we are watching cinema, images are created in front of our eyes there. Literature uses words, and when you enjoy a work of fiction, we read the words first, then assimilate them, and after that we form our own mental picture of places and characters. So this happens when we read a book. Moreover, these images are not same for all of us, although we all read the same words. Suppose I am reading a book, a good book. Let us take A Thousand Splendid Sun. When I am reading that book, the boy or the girl and the landscapes, the way I will be imagining will be completely different from the way you will be imagining. The face of the main character will be different in your own imagination, and that will be different in my own imagination. So, in the case of literature, we form our own mental images of the character and the settings. But in the case of cinema, what happens? In cinema, exactly opposite of this happens. When we see a film, we directly see the image of the place, person, landscape or building on screen. All of us see the same image and for the same amount of time, exactly as composed by the director. So, when we are watching a cinema, what we are watching? We are seeing what the director wants us to see, what the director wants us to portray the image of the character in our mind. Okay, now this is an activity that I have discussed in our class, in our live class. So I am going to leave it here. Now, while discussing about cinema, we have to talk about the way how the scenes are discussed in the some of the notable film directors' film. Okay. Read the summary description of the two important scenes from the Indian films Charulata by Satyajit Ray and Mughal-e-Azam by K. Asif. Okay. Charulata by Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray's Charulata has an opening which is right out of his tradition of introducing a character very vividly. Ray spends a good 10 minutes in the exposition of the main character right at the beginning of the film. So, how he used to introduce his character? He used to introduce his character by spending a good amount of time in exposing the character, the main character at the beginning of the film. The film opens with a close-up of Charulata. The films open with a close-up of Charulata sewing directly letter B, that is Bhupati, her husband, on a handkerchief. As the clock strikes 4 chimes, she gets up and orders the servant to take tea to the master. Then we see her feeling bored with noticing specific to do at the afternoon hour and begins her small journey within the house from bedroom to corridor to bedroom to drawing room. She meanders through this time in a space about 10 minutes doing small little inconsequential things like opening the cupboard, filling a book, looking at the world outside through the opera glasses, etc. Okay. Now we see her in terms of her physiognomy, costumes, occupation, ambience, social background, historical time period. Her demeanor suggests that there is more than boredom locked up within her. So, in Charulata, Satyajit Ray has depicted Charulata and in the very beginning of the first scene, and he has depicted the things that she was doing there, and his insequential works like opening the cupboard, setting it, filling the book, or doing some ordering his servants. So, and through all of this, what Satyajit Ray has suggested, this is not only the boredom that is locked up within her, there is much more thing that is locked up within her. The world seems to go on outside and inside the house, too obvious her mental state at the hour. All those who entered the picture frames leave them shortly, including her husband. So the more important, the most importance is given to Charulata this entire in this entire sequence, and the less importance is given to all other characters that enters the film at that time of period, including her husband. Interestingly, there is no other character present there to interact with her, so there is practically no dialogue. This is a private drama and director depicts it directly to us. The household is also described through a variety of camera movements, which are sometimes brisk, sometimes languorous in consonance with her moods. We see it to be rich, upper-class Bengali household of the 19th century. The size of the room, the architectural style, the elegant furniture suggests it to be the westernized household during those times. Most of the time in the sequence, the camera is mobile, relentlessly following her, filling her with feeling for her. The character glides beautifully through non-verbal space that is more eloquent by the mobile camera. Okay, I think this will be more eloquent. It is wrong. Okay, so the camera moves behind her throughout the entire scene. Now, what concept is used in Anarkali? There is an interesting scene in K. Asif's Mughal-e-Azam. It is a prelude to the arrival of Anarkali. Santar's, that is work, the statues and morals, is not liked by the rulers as they speak the truth. And he points to the wall mural that depicts a person being crushed by the elephant as punishment, saying that this is what one gets as one's reward for speaking the truth. So, in the case of Anarkali, the sequence is starting completely differently. It has got a prelude that is showing that how a punishment should be given to a person who speaks of truth in front of his ruler. But he agrees to carve out a figure that shall be so beautiful that on seeing her, the soldiers will lay down their sword at her feet, the empress will lay down is their crown at her feet, and all others will lose their hearts for her. This is the best that his imagination can offer. This kind of introduction of a character in such literally poetic manner is rare in cinema. It defines a character not by any realistic means but in terms of concept of beauty. It also foreshadows the fate of Anarkali in terms of her relationship with Salim and her conflict with Akbar and herself. For Anarkali is the one who dares to speak the truth. Anarkali is the one who dares to speak the truth. This dramatic element is further developed into the ritual of Nakub Poshi when Salim is a true warrior, inaugurates the statue by unveiling it by means of an arrow. The statue is not ready on that time, so the model herself stands in statues from the risking her life to in the process. The impact of her beauty on all present dramatic especially shows Prince Salim, as for him it was love at first sight. So for Salim fell in love with Anarkali because he was standing in the space of the statue, because statue was not prepared at that time, and Anarkali was model of that statue, and Salim fell in love with that sight. Charulata is defined historically, psychologically, realistically, and Anarkali is defined as a legend. This is so because Satyajit Ray's idiom is that of modern cinema, whereas K. Asif's happens to be a traditional kind. So K. Asif was more of traditional kind, whereas in the Satyajit Ray's case, the modern elements of psychology, realism, the Western touch can be seen in his cinema. Okay, let us finish here. In next class I'll start painting and cinema. Okay. Okay, bye students. In our next class we will continue the rest of the part.